Hello there, welcome back. I'm doing a quick review of The Last Jedi, the new Star Wars film which has come out. It's been getting really good critical reviews. Audience appreciation seems to be quite extreme. Some people seem to love it, some people seem to have real problems with it. I'll go into that a little bit as well. But I'll say straight out, I loved it, I thought it was terrific. My history with these new Star Wars films are basically, I'll go into my history actually of Star Wars. I was a kid when the first ones came out, so I loved the first ones, even though Jedi had a few problems for me, but still, they're fun movies. By the time the prequels came along, I'd kind of grown out of Star Wars a little bit. I mean, I wasn't like mad about it, I wasn't like reading in the books or anything. There was other, I got into like serious films like Kubrick and Malick and things. So when the prequels came out, I saw they were flawed, but there were bits I liked, there was stuff I didn't like in them. I feel kind of defensive about them actually because I think they get bashed almost in habit by lots of people. Just as a way to see I have a taste, I don't like the prequels, so I think they get bashed in a way that's unfair because there's some good stuff in it, there's also some stuff that's not good. But I'd grown out of it, so I don't have the passion of, you know, I have to have an opinion about these prequels. I mean, I found when the first one, Phantom Menace, came out, you can see there were some problems, but then people say, oh, I loved it anyway. I was like, oh, that's weird. And then when they come out and say, oh, I actually hated it, and I was like, that's just as weird. That's just like, can't you just say it didn't work very well? You know. Anyway, off the prequels. When the Disney bought Star Wars, I wasn't that bothered really. It was interesting with more Star Wars films, but it wasn't really like the most exciting news for me. I'd been watching the Clone Wars, I thought they were fun, really enjoyable. I was getting my nephew addicted to them, you know. So I mean, I was still keeping tabs on certain things, but I wasn't really. I've other things in my life that I deal with, so it wasn't all Star Wars or even remotely. So when the new films came out, the first one I liked the least was Force Awakens, because I was one of those people who thought it was too close to the original Star Wars. And it didn't quite zag away. I mean, they could have started an alien planet, or the desert alien planet, or they could have had a Death Star. They had to one, or they should have had both. I've done videos how dumb some of the stuff was. I'm not going to go into great detail about it, but just to say, you can see a video, see what I thought of Force Awakens. I had problems with it. I don't hate it, but I had problems with it. You know, I thought the cast made the problems a lot less. I think some of the problems were it was rushed and had to get a film out, and I think some of those decisions that I had problems with, I think might have been solved if they had more time. Because J.J. Abrams, who directed it, is a good director. I just think he's made stuff I like, but stuff I don't like. But I think in this case, some of the problems may have just been time. Certain things they may have done differently if they had more time. Rogue One I liked a lot more. I mean, it's not a perfect film, but I just got behind the idea of them being this kind of these like spies trying to find out the Death Star, and then all hell breaking loose to try and find the plans of the Death Star. I just like the kind of characters who are doomed, the characters who are all going to die. You know, I just liked that idea and how this was a basic suicide mission. I thought that was a really cool, interesting thing for a Star Wars movie. You know, it showed. We keep on hearing that under Disney Star Wars without any guts or anything, but that was a film where everyone died at the end. You know, it's like, yeah, there's lots of battle scenes, but everyone died. It's like, it's just a headline. It doesn't actually mean anything compared to what's actually going on in the films. And this one again, The Last Jedi, I think is the best of these new films. Because I had problems with Force Awakens, a lot of stuff that people were having problems with, I didn't, because they were dealing with stuff I wasn't so keen on. So it's quite funny. But anyway, yeah, so the film itself, I'll start without spoilers and I'll go into some spoilers, but I'm not going to try and explain every beat of the film or anything. The best thing about the film was, I thought it was quite unpredictable. It it used certain moments from the older films but to twist them in different ways and show how things could go in different ways. It was always using them with a sense of humour. And one of the things directors I really like is Brian De Palma, who does something similar. And he annoys his audience just as much as this film seems to have done, where they know the convention, so you're going in a certain direction and suddenly twist the convention. And if you've got a straight ahead point of view of what things should be, it sometimes annoys you. And this film did the same thing, and this film was just zigging and zagging all the time. And I was having fun with your expectations. And to me that was why I loved it. I thought it was terrific. I mean, there was a bit that has been commonly criticised. I think people who love the film, there's a section, people saying it's like the middle section of the film, it's actually only about 10 minutes of screen time, which is where Finn and this girl, Rose, go to this gambling planet to find this guy. It's not that big a section, but I think because it feels so different from the rest, it kind of, it just doesn't feel the same tone of the film. But I was fine with it. I mean, it was where I went for a toilet break, to be honest. Because I'd heard about it even before, and I was like, okay, this is a setup bit I can rush out there. But even then, I was away for about a minute or two, and even then, it was fine. It was like, it wasn't my favourite part of the film. It wasn't bad. I liked Benicio del Toro. It had a very kind of Monte Cristo feel to it. It was fine. I mean, it was like, you can be in a film and think, okay, this is my least favourite part of the film. So what? I mean, I didn't like the last third of Force Awakens. That was a whole 40 minutes. This was just like, 10 minutes. So that was fine for me. It was just, I didn't really have a problem. It was just like the weakest part of the film. Most films have bits that are the weakest part. Even films that I thought was masterpieces of bits is like, not my favourite bit type of thing. I mean, it's just, that's the way it goes. So that was the weakest part. The best thing about the film ultimately was the other stuff, which was the Luke, Rey and Kylo Ren stuff, which was one plot. And then the other plot was the rebels escape from the Empire, which was all about Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaac, and him dealing with the rebels' leadership. And those two sections were so good that the little bits that didn't work, or didn't work as well, didn't matter. And basically, that was, it was like, so those things were really cool. And again, both of those sections had lots of bits that would throw people though. So I'm trying to avoid spoilers here, but those two sections were great. I mean, the Luke Rey stuff about him not wanting to be this stuff you get from trailers. He's suspicious of her. He's wounded by what happened with Kylo Ren, and that dynamic between him and Rey is terrific. The dynamic between Rey and Kylo is terrific. So again, you've got the trailers. And the other side, Oscar Isaac playing this guy who's basically a Han Solo type figure who can do anything in a spacecraft, but has to actually learn leadership, which kind of echoes the Anakin stuff in the prequel. He was great at all the fighting stuff, but he wasn't good at the leadership stuff. So it's a different take in that kind of idea. And again, you get him learning how to do stuff against Kylo, who's dealing with leadership in his own way, which we'll get into in a spoiler bit. They contrast each other, and even the Finn stuff, which wasn't quite as good, as you see him trying to survive in a world, because this is his first mission by himself basically. You see him trying to find his feet in this world that he doesn't quite understand. So you're seeing him slowly develop leadership skills as well, and that's what that story is, him trying to work out how to actually be a rebel. So all the stories actually work really well. Everyone in this film's trying to work out how to move on, how to be what they want to be, of how to find a path themselves that actually works and is useful. For the rebel side, is people try to find ways to be useful to others, and for the first order part is how do they sell themselves and how do they get ahead. So you've got all this stuff always going on, how it develops throughout the movie, and all that's terrific. I mean, the film has a really good sense of humour that some people don't like. But it's a sense of humour, there's a sense of things going off track, you know, and then people having to improvise all the time because they react to something that logically should work to react against that, and it turns out that it doesn't work. And they try to do all these things and a lot of stuff doesn't work. And it's kind of funny how it doesn't work, even though it should work, but little life gets in the way. And you see them improvise and learning as they go. And that's terrific, because that's the idea of the movie. It's an adventure movie. Everything's going to be an Empire Strikes Back movie where everything is a tragedy. Well, this one's actually an adventure movie where people learn from the mistakes, and there's lots of different backgrounds and different places they go to, but they're learning as they go, and eventually they're going to come out of it as slightly different people, and it's terrific. So I can't really go much beyond this without spoilers, so I'm going into now. I may talk about stuff that happens because you probably guess I'm really trying to circle around. I'm not going to go into tons of details about everything that happens, but I'm going to go into some spoilers now. Okay, basically, the Snoke dies. Snoke gets killed. Snoke is a red herring. Like, this is one of the things that annoyed a lot of people who didn't like the film. They were expecting Snoke to be another Palpatine, when in fact he was just a guy, power-hungry guy, who was just the guy who built the First Order from the ashes, but he was never that important. So instead of doing the same thing with Anakin, where he was the right-hand man to the great Emperor, they kill the Emperor basically. So it's a different dynamic. So you're seeing this unhinged character, Kylo Ren, now have total power the way Vader never actually. So that'll be interesting. So that's a really cool twist. But I think one of the things that some people reacted against and didn't like was that wasn't the way they expected to go. They expected Snoke to have some mysterious origin that was going to be fascinating, and we're going to tell you stuff that's amazing, and no, he's just a villain who's not as smart as he thinks he is. He doesn't ultimately matter. He's the MacGuffin to get you from point A to point B, but he's not. He's formidable in himself, but he's not the focus of the story. So once he's served the story purpose, he's gone. You don't need him anymore. He's going to clog things up. He's killed by his own apprentice. So that was terrific. I mean, you could see just before it happened, it was going to happen, but it didn't take the fun out of it. It was quite good to just watch him glow and then just realise he's dead. It's wonderful. There's tons of stuff there that's just wonderful to see. And there's scenes like that keep twisting, like that. The whole idea of Poe, who's switching from ace pilot to be a leader. He makes tons of mistakes throughout the whole film. He just like constantly fucks up. But it doesn't matter, because it's the story of how he's learning to do stuff. And the stuff he actually does could have worked. It was almost like they were letting him do this other stuff. It doesn't work, but it was an attempt to make something work. The kind of grown-ups already had another plan, but even their plan was flawed. Everyone had a little plan, and instead of him thinking, his view was, my plan will work, it's the only thing we can do, that's the only way we can do it. Other people around him actually had their plan, but they kind of, even though they weren't telling him, they were letting him do his plan as well, just in case it actually, worked. Because it was a difference between an older perspective and a younger perspective. The younger perspective thinking, this is the only way to do it. An older perspective was, we'll try these 2 or 3 different things and hope one of them works. and he has to learn not to be so selfish about his own achievements. But it really worked. It was a wonderful section. The section of the first part of the film was seen the arrogance. So the idea is his plan works to start with to help them escape the first time, but it caused a lot of deaths, and he had to learn throughout the movie. That really works. The same with Rey. She goes to Luke, and she doesn't do everything right. She does a lot of stupid things. She's sure, she's young, she's sure of herself that even though she doesn't know what's going on, her way is the best, and Luke's saying, no, that's not really it. Because Luke's great in this film. He's just a stubborn old guy whose life has gone to hell, and it's all tragic, but he's a sense of humour, and he can obviously see himself in her reactions, the stubbornness, and he's the Yoda part this time. But it works. The idea is he's slowly trying to avoid trading her because he thinks the Jedi way was corrupt and it was a wrong use of the Force. But as he sees that maybe it wasn't, of course he slowly changes. But he also is showing really basic stuff to say, look, you've got skills, but these are the problems. And he's using his life and the life of his father to actually say, look, these are the problems of all these situations. This is not going to go right for you. Which he proves to be right, but slowly he comes out of his shell. And all that stuff's wonderful. I mean, I don't want to go into tons of details about the whys and wherefores of what happens. There's some stuff in there that's lovely, little bits with R2 that, and with Chewbacca that's are great character bits. A lot of the details of Luke and Rey are terrific. Luke's final 20 minutes are amazing. If you're a Star Wars fan, I don't see how you can't love what happens at the end with him, because it's like everything you probably want as a kid just starts playing out. Because you've never seen Luke, you always saw Luke as the student, so now you see him as a Jedi Master, and slowly as he comes back into the way of the Jedi, things happen with him that really pay off what you wanted to see as a kid. There's also a sadness to it because of what he's gone through. I mean, the reasons why him and Kylo are at each other's throats the whole time, I won't go into it, I might do it in a video later, but it's really terrific because it's like two different perspectives and neither are quite right, so neither can see the other person's point of view. And basically the whole idea is they've grown up screwed him up in lots of ways. Maybe it wouldn't have gone this way if it wasn't, but then again he might have gone that way anyway, he might have gone bad anyway, so who knows. But the cool thing of this story is the whole story. I think one of the reasons why some certain fans are having problems with it is the focus of the story is the Skywalker line has to go. The Skywalker line was used for a certain point to try and get for me to actually rebalance things, and now with Kylo Ren it's become a threat with no purpose. It's tied to the past and the ideas of domination and things. It's no longer useful. It has to actually go. I mean, one of the best twists is the whole through the first movie it was like, who's Rey's parents? In this film reveals they're nobodies. Doesn't matter. They're nobodies. You're never going to know who they are, and it doesn't matter because she's coming from the way Anakin came, which was from nowhere. The way Luke came from nowhere. And what was the thing that Skywalker's had to try and adjust is now they are now the thing that has to be adjusted. And that's what's really cool about the film is like they're the problem. Their line has to die out for things to move forward. That suddenly gives this whole new trilogy a story. I mean, that was one thing that lacked, the Force Awakens lacked. In all these situations, they had the Rey situation, the Finn situation, but I never felt a story there. It just felt like situations of developing, but you never felt there's an actual story that would hook this whole new trilogy on. I mean, the original trilogy was Luke ascend and dealing with his family past. The prequel trilogy was the rise of the Empire and the fall of Anakin. This one never seemed to have a story. It seemed to have situations where, you know, it was just there. And this one finally realising that the whole idea was the rise of the nobodies again, that weren't tied to Skywalkers, and the fact that Skywalkers were actually the problem, not the solution. It's a really cool story idea, and something that makes these new films worthwhile. Despite their flaws, it's something that makes them worthwhile. And that's what's great about this film, is it actually gives this new trilogy a story that's worth following. I mean, one of the best moments of the film is the final moment where you finally go back to the gambling planet, and you see a little kid who you saw earlier on, and you see that he's force sensitive and he's looking up at the sky the way you can imagine, actually referencing something from Phantom Menace, where Anakin talks about looking up at the sky, and this little kid who's also a slave like Anakin was is looking up at the sky, and things are coming full circle, but it's not the Skywalkers anymore, it's other kids who are not tied to that family line. It might not be as powerful as they were, but it's developing. So the whole idea is the Jedi started off as locked in. Anakin sort of changed that by becoming Darth Vader and destroying them, and now as they regrow, they can't regrow as what they once were. They have to regrow as something different. They can't just fall into the same mistakes. So you have a sequence with Yoda, and he's trying to tell, look, that it's like, your mistakes are the thing that's important about you now. That's what you need to pass on to help the next generation so they can develop the Force in a different way. That's really cool, because it's an evolution of the society away from its old mistakes towards new areas. And that's what's great with the film. It's an optimistic film about learning from your mistakes or not, because the definition of Kylo, why he's a villain, is he does not learn from his mistakes. He blames other people. He's defined by his grandfather's life, but he doesn't understand his grandfather's life. He understands the Darth Vader part of it, which is ironically what a lot of fans understand about the character. And there's another part of what happened with Anakin and why he changed into Darth Vader, but isn't really important to Kylo, but it's important to the overall story. And that becomes, even though you can look at the prequel and say there was some problems story-wise and execution, the actual story was solid enough. It was just the way they were put out, certain things weren't done properly. But the idea is that Kylo's sort of focusing the past on the Empire and destroying the past, but keeping certain bits which were the Vader bits, and that's kind of like certain fans of the series. They want the excitement, they don't want the things below it. I'm sure that's a generalisation. There's some fans who don't like this film, they probably just don't like it because they don't like the tone of it. There's the tone I described earlier with they've always the Pamish twist of things with expectations that are very playful, that some people just aren't going to like. But that's the idea, that's what something got me excited with the film, and this trilogy now was the idea of the Skywalkers are the problem, not the solution. So I'm interested to see where it goes from there. I mean, there's one more film to go, then there's a Rian Johnson trilogy that's away from this. That'll be cool as well, so I really want to see that. But the thing is, it's now exciting again. Yeah, there's going to be fans who don't like this one. There are fans who did not like Empire Strikes Back when it came out. I mean, I remember when I saw it when I was a kid, it was like freaky. It was not the easiest film to set for the first time around. You experience it more the second or third time around to see how good it is, but the first time around I was like, oh my god, what the hell is this? Because even before you got to that revelation, the Hoth sequence felt very dark in the cinema. Chasing through, them getting chased down felt very dark and oppressive. The same way in this film, the rebels are getting chased down. There's a tone to the Empire that isn't easily accessible, and that was what caused some problems when it was first released. And again, it was almost like this one where the critics seemed to like it, but I think some fans weren't so keen. Some critics didn't like it, but I think some fans had a problem with it when it first came out, including me. And then, but you see how good it is as you get older. I was only about 7 at the time, so you can't blame me for that. But yeah, so there's a story to these new Star Wars series. I mean, I think people will come around after they see it a few times and they see what's going on with it, and their expectations aren't tied to Force Awakens. What they want in Force Awakens, they want answers, but wanting answers, they're not looking at what the actual thing's providing. It's providing a story about moving on from the past. that's kind of the story that's there. So you either like it or you don't. I mean, ultimately, I don't want to go into if people don't like it are idiots, because it's just different perspectives. So I'm trying to explain why I liked it. But there were just terrific bits. I mean, the moment that actually I think sold it for some people was when Luke got the lightsaber from the first one, and you go back to that moment, he just tosses it away. I thought that was hilarious. Then you find out later some people thought that was, oh, you can't do that. And I was like, of course you can. But that's just perspectives. So it's just different people with different points of view. I loved it. That's my kind of joke in a film. That's the kind of thing that I love to see in a film. For some people it's like, what are you doing? So it's just a point of view. I like things twisting in weird ways, and I like in films where you're happy for a film and you're not quite sure how it's going to go. As I thought this film had, even though you knew certain things were likely going to happen, you weren't set in stone they were going to happen. So it was quite nice. So yep, so everything's now set up for Rey versus Kylo for the finale. All the other characters are slowly getting defined. So it's looking pretty good for the final part. So all I say is, if you've seen this, when you see this film, and maybe you don't like it as much as you expected, maybe didn't reach your expectations, give it a shot. Ignore what you wanted and see what they delivered. Because what they delivered was terrific. It was showing the story wasn't quite what we might have wanted originally, but that's quite good, because I find a lot of stuff I want from a film turns out not to be that interesting ultimately, because if the director or the writer actually have ideas that have been thought about deeply for 2 years, a lot of times they're going to be better than what you thought briefly for like 2 days or something, you know. And I don't think some of the stuff set up in The Force Awakens was worth the wait that some fans attached to it. I don't think they were really that interesting. But that's me. I didn't like The Force Awakens that much. You've got to take that into consideration. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and this is my little blather about Last Jedi.